Project Bluebeam is a top secret project that you need to know about. If you've been on social media recently, you may have heard a little bit about this before, but there's far more to it than you can fit into a YouTube short or a TikTok video, so make sure you watch this video all the way to the end because that last bit may really surprise you. According to conspiracy theorists, Project Bluebeam aims to stage an alien invasion that will be entirely faked and usher in a new religion as a form of social control, almost like a new world order thing. That's Project Bluebeam in one sentence, but obviously there's a lot more to it than that. Now this is where accounts diverge a lot, so bear with me and I'll explain some of the different accounts of what could happen. Firstly, how could the entire world be fooled that there are aliens coming from the sky? Well, they say that seeing is believing. That's one of the things that this channel relies on. Seeing things is pretty convincing, and especially when lots of people see the same thing. Imagine, if you will, huge lights appearing from the clouds in every major city. News outlets worldwide telling us that we've been invaded by creatures vastly more intelligent than we are, that they have better weapons, better technology, and that they're significantly more organised and cleverer than we are. It seems pretty bleak, doesn't it? Well, it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Just as all hope for humanity seems lost, a new god will arrive, ushering in a new religion to unite the world under a single religion. Now, let's face it, this all seems like a pretty good way of converting non-believers and religious types at the same time, but it'd need to be the biggest illusion that the world has ever seen. Except maybe the moon landings, but we'll get to that in another video. It'd need to use holographic projection systems, but we already have this technology. My new car, for example, has this weird 3D cockpit. They even call it 3D cockpit. But Project Bluebeam would need to scale this up to phenomenal proportions. Imagine seeing a city in the clouds, if you will. Well, we don't have to. We've already seen this. This event happened in China, where an entire city appeared in the sky. Some people considered it a sign of heaven. Others said that it was just weird clouds. In truth, could it be something else? Could it be the first tests of Project Bluebeam? Well, before we get into that, I need to tell you about other elements of Project Bluebeam conspiracy theories. When the aliens invade, it'll be accompanied by mass destruction, not just bombs and weapons of mass destruction and things that we've seen in weaponized form before, things like earthquakes and tidal waves, except that we have seen these weaponized before, perhaps. One example of such a conspiracy theory is the HAARP project, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which has been accused of being a weather manipulation tool capable of triggering earthquakes and creating natural disasters. According to some researchers, the high-energy emitters can and have caused tidal waves and earthquakes, and forms part of a larger program that's due to take over the world under Project Bluebeam. However, it is essential to note that HAARP's primary purpose is scientific research related to ionospheric phenomena, and it has no capabilities, as far as we know, for causing earthquakes or tidal waves. Now, I'm not saying that the US government does tell lies. Well, no, wait, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't doubt that they also tell the truth from time to time, but you just have to look at recent events and even not so recent events as examples. So in 1974, the US government was accused of experimenting on federal prisoners with drugs to alter hormone levels and using radiation to adjust behaviour. Of course, they denied it. It's just a baseless conspiracy theory. But in 1995, President Clinton admitted that it was real and that some 4,000 people deserved an apology, with compensation being discussed too at that time.
The United States government actually did carry out on our citizens experiments involving radiation.
One conspiracy theory said that the US government was stealing parts of dead children to conduct radiation experiments on. They take the organs from recently dead children because they needed young tissue to see how it reacted differently to adult tissue. In truth, the government sanctioned a worldwide network of agents who would take tissue and organ samples, sometimes even whole limbs of dead children, without the knowledge or consent of the 1,500 or so grieving families and experimented on them. Conspiracy theories linking the US government to natural disasters like earthquakes and tidal waves tend to lack credible evidence, however. They're generally not supported by the scientific community, but other conspiracy theories, as we've heard, were also dismissed as fake news.
You are fake news. Sir.
Earthquakes and tidal waves are natural geological and oceanic processes caused by various factors such as tectonic plate movements, volcanic activity, or underwater disturbances. That said, we also know that they can be man-made. Fracking, or hydraulic fracturing, can also cause earthquakes. Fracking involves injecting high-pressure fluids into the ground to extract oil or natural gas from rock formations. This process can create or reactivate faults in the Earth's crust, leading to induced seismic activity, which is earthquakes to you and me. While most induced earthquakes are relatively small, there have been cases where fracking activities have triggered larger earthquakes. In the energy companies, scientists study and monitor these interactions to better understand and mitigate potential risks, but it's entirely possible, even plausible, to induce earthquakes using fracking. So what about tidal waves? Well, it turns out that we know how to trigger those too. When an earthquake occurs under the ocean, it can displace a large volume of water, creating powerful waves that travel across the ocean's surface. These waves can propagate over long distances, which means they grow. And as a result, it may result in devastating effects when they reach coastal areas. This is thought to have been the cause of the earthquake in 2004 in Thailand, although not necessarily man-made. The US government has never officially claimed or been known to have the ability to cause earthquakes or tidal waves. Such natural disasters are typically understood to be caused by natural geological processes and are not within the realm of human manipulation by any government entity as far as we know. But it's not too much of a stretch to say that they might. Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that suggests a secret NASA or government project aims to use advanced technologies to deceive the public through staged events such as faking a global alien invasion or a religious event using holographic projections and mind control. Well, we know from the pandemic that conspiracy theories popped up saying that 5G mobile data signals were carrying the virus. Now that's clearly nonsense, it's impossible. But even then, people were saying that vitamin D could be a very effective way of stopping the spread of COVID-19. This was apparently also fake news.
You are fake news. Sir.
They say it was a conspiracy theory set about to undermine Big Pharma's new and very expensive cure. Well, the cure and all of its multiple patches, boosters and updates, you can tell it was backed by Microsoft, can't you?
Oh no!
Wasn't significantly more effective than vitamin D. In fact, vitamin D helped support natural immunity and lessened the effects of the COVID virus. Staying inside and out of the sunshine reduced natural protection of vitamin D as well, which needs sunlight to synthesize. So, quarantine, ironically, played a part in making it worse. All of this was being said by conspiracy theorists at the time, during the pandemic, and I'm ashamed to say that I was also one of those people who was very sceptical of the role of vitamin D. When official sources are shouting loudly about science, backed by eminent doctors like Dr. Anthony Fauci, for example, it's hard not to believe that. And so mind control is quite easy, really. But can any government, even one as obviously corrupt and dishonest as the US government, really be capable of a project as audaciously ambitious as Project Bluebeam? Well, firstly, we need to look at where this theory came from. In the 1990s, Canadian journalist Serge Monast proposed that the US government was planning a mass mind control event called Project Bluebeam. One aspect of this theory involves weaponization of earthquakes and tidal waves, as we've already mentioned, suggesting that the US government could use these natural disasters as a form of controlled weaponry to manipulate or subdue populations. Sure, we know that they do have that ability, in theory at least, to try that. But Canada and the US have always had a same sort of neighbourly relationship as most nations tend to have with their nearest border nation. The fact that Monast was Canadian isn't insignificant to the reliability of his story, in my opinion. He does have reason not to trust the gun-toting Southerners. especially given their track record of atrocities and lies to the public. However, it's essential to note that there is no credible evidence to support these claims, and Project Bluebeam is widely regarded as a baseless and unfounded conspiracy theory. But lots of other conspiracy theories were also in the same boat until they were proven true. Watergate, anyone? Serge Monast was a Canadian conspiracy theorist and journalist who is best known for his promotion of the Project Bluebeam conspiracy theory. He was born in 1945, so around the end of World War II, and he passed away in December 1996. Monast was associated with various fringe topics and paranormal investigations during his lifetime. In my mind, this makes him less credible, especially if he lacked the skeptical view that's essential if you're going to investigate these sorts of things. In the 1990s, Monast gained attention for his writings and lectures on Project Bluebeam, which he claimed was a top-secret government plan to deceive the public through staged events involving advanced technologies, including holographic projections and mind control. Well, mind control is easy, so if you pump enough stuff into the public, they'll believe it, especially if you do it in such a way as to silence dissenting opinion. So just look at the current climate where people can't ask questions for fear of being labelled phobic of this or that thing or unaccepting of X or Y group. According to Monast's claims, the ultimate goal of Project Bluebeam was to create a new world order and establish a one-world government by manipulating religious beliefs and fabricating a global crisis. It's important to note that there is no credible evidence to support Project Bluebeam's existence or its alleged goals. But what about that city in the sky? Well, it's a form of superior mirage or illusion called a Fata Morgana. Named after the powerful Arthurian witch, a Fata Morgana is a captivating optical illusion that occurs in the atmosphere, usually giving rise to intricate and distorted images, often seen in deserts or over bodies of water, including clouds, although those are more rare. This mesmerizing phenomenon is caused by the bending of light rays due to variations in air temperature and therefore density of the air itself, which creates multiple layers with different refractive indices. That's the technical term for it. Basically speeds up and slows down light. As a result, distant objects appear elongated, lifted, or even inverted, forming enchanting yet illusory landscapes. In other words, they don't really exist. Similarly, in the world of data analysis, a Fata Morgana can metaphorically symbolize misleading patterns or correlations within data assets and datasets, enticing analysts to perceive significant insights where there are none. So just as travelers in the desert must remain cautious of Fata Morganas, data scientists must also employ rigorous methods to distinguish between genuine trends from mere illusion, ensuring that their conclusions are based on solid evidence rather than alluring images, mirages, or illusions. And I know we're not talking about data analysis in this video, but when looking at Project Bluebeam, it might be worth bearing that kind of thinking in mind. Serge Monast's work and theories have been widely criticised and debunked by mainstream scholars, researchers, and experts in various fields. His ideas remain a notable example of how conspiracy theories can gain traction and attract followers despite the lack of evidence and plausibility. So what do you think about this theory? Do you believe it? Let me know down in the comments. And regardless of whether Project Bluebeam is real or not, it's important that we know about it, because if aliens really do invade, it might be worth just asking yourself, is this real, or is this another way of the government controlling the population? If you want to learn more about conspiracy theories, by the way, check out this video right here, and I'll be back next time with some more magical awesomeness. But until next time, as always.
Magical.